He lifted boxes every day for minimum wage. No dreams left, no future plans, just pain in his back, numb hands, and a paycheck that barely covered food and rent. But one night, while moving an old delivery crate that no one had touched in decades, he discovered something inside that wasn't on any document, wasn't meant to be found, and wasn't supposed to exist. And within a single week, that discovery turned a warehouse worker into a man worth more money than he had ever seen in his life. This is the unbelievable story of how a forgotten crate, a tired worker, and a 40-year-old mystery changed everything. Intro: who he was. His name was Ethan Miles, 28 years old, working nights at a logistics warehouse on the edge of town, not because he liked night shifts, but because they paid 10% more. And when you're broke, 10% feels like oxygen. Ethan wasn't lazy. He wasn't a dreamer. He was just tired. Tired of always being behind on bills. Tired of counting every dollar. Tired of eating cheap instant noodles and pretending he didn't mind. His life was a loop. Wake up, work, sleep, repeat. The warehouse was huge, cold, metallic, filled with the smell of dust, pallets, and oil. Forklifts beeped. Workers shouted. Machines hummed endlessly. Ethan's job was simple: move heavy crates from one rack to another for 8 hours straight. The kind of work that makes your body ache and your thoughts go quiet. Most crates had labels, codes, dates. Easy to scan, easy to move. But in the far, dark corner of Sector D, there was one crate that nobody touched. It was covered in old dust, wrapped in a torn tarp, and had a faded sticker: received 1984. Ethan always wondered why it was still there, but no one cared. No one checked. No one even mentioned it. Until the night everything changed. At 2:13 a.m., Ethan's supervisor radioed him. "Ethan, I need you in Sector D. We're reorganizing old inventory." Ethan sighed. More lifting, more dust. He walked down the dim aisle, his boots echoing on the concrete floor. Then he saw it, the old crate, the one from 1984. His supervisor pointed casually. "That one. Move it to disposal. It's not on any records anymore." Ethan frowned. "Where should I put it?" "In the dumpster zone. It's garbage." Garbage? A crate untouched for 40 years? Ethan shrugged. He'd seen stranger things. He got a crowbar, pried the crate from the floor, and began dragging it onto a pallet jack. The wood creaked. The nails groaned. The weight felt wrong. Too heavy for an empty box. Too solid for simple storage. Ethan tapped it. It didn't sound hollow. "What the hell is in this thing?" His supervisor didn't care. "Just dump it. Don't open it." But curiosity has a cruel way of whispering to the tired. During his break, Ethan wheeled the crate near the loading dock, away from cameras. Just him, the cold night air, and the mysterious crate. He stared at it for a long moment. No labels, no markings except the date 1984. No records in the system. His hands shook slightly as he wedged the crowbar under the lid. He pressed down. Crack. The lid snapped. Inside he saw a stack of old newspapers, yellowed, crumpled, covering something underneath. Ethan's heart sped up. He pushed the papers aside and froze. Inside the crate was a metal case, about the size of a briefcase, dark steel, heavy, locked shut. There was a tag attached. "Property of Hillcrest Laboratories. Do not open." Ethan whispered, "What is this?" Hillcrest Labs had shut down in the 90s, after a fire destroyed half the facility. Their research, unknown, confidential, rumored to be connected to private government projects. Ethan swallowed hard. He lifted the metal case. It was insanely heavy. He set it on a pallet and stared at it. He knew he shouldn't open it. He also knew this was the most interesting thing that had ever happened to him. He grabbed the crowbar again. His hands were sweating, breath shaky. Heart beat fast. He forced the crowbar into the lock. Crack. The lock broke. Ethan slowly lifted the lid. What he saw inside made his entire body go numb. Not from fear, not from confusion, but from the realization that his life was no longer going to be the same, ever again. Inside the metal case were stacks of folders and 3 smaller containers. Ethan's first thought was, this is some kind of lab equipment, but it wasn't. He opened the first container. Inside were thick, glossy certificates, each with embossed seals, each with a company logo he recognized immediately. Northbridge Microsystems Incorporated. His brain clicked. Northbridge, the tech giant that made processors for half the world's computers and phones. A company worth hundreds of billions. He pulled one certificate closer. On it was written, Common Stock Certificate, 10,000 shares. He blinked, then grabbed another. Common Stock Certificate, 7,500 shares. Then another. 5,000 shares. And another. And another. His hands started shaking. He counted quickly. There were 12 certificates in total. He did rough math in his head, failing, so he opened the calculator app on his phone. If each share of Northbridge was worth, say, $220, last time he'd heard, then 10,000 times 220 is equal to 2,200,000. 7,500 times 220 is equal to 1,650,000. 5,000 times 220 is equal to 1,100,000. He scrolled through, adding. Rough total, over $8 million. He dropped the phone. No. This can't be real. He picked up one certificate again. At the bottom, in small print, it said, Issued, 1986, Bearer Certificate. Bearer. He'd heard the term before. Bearer meant the person holding the certificate was the owner. No name printed, no registered account, no identity, just whoever physically had it, which right now was him. He stuffed everything back into the case, closed it, and pulled a tarp over the crate. His heart raced so hard, he thought he might pass out. He finished his shift in a blur. At home, in his tiny apartment, he locked the door 3 times, shut the curtains, and placed the metal case on his cheap kitchen table. He opened his laptop, hands trembling. He searched Northbridge Microsystems history. He discovered that the company started as a small lab in the early 80s. It was once called Hillcrest Microsystems, originally a branch of Hillcrest Laboratories. They rebranded and exploded in value during the tech boom. In the 90s, they went fully digital, converting most paper stock into electronic form. Most, not all. He read about lawsuits, mergers, old shareholders. He searched Northbridge Bearer Stock Certificates. He found a mention in a decades-old legal document. Some of the earliest shares were issued as physical bearer certificates to private investors through Hillcrest Labs before the company went public. Most of those certificates were supposedly lost or destroyed in a lab fire. Ethan sat back. The room felt smaller. He felt smaller. He looked at the metal case on the table. Lost or destroyed. Except they weren't. They were in a warehouse, in a crate from 1984, ignored for 40 years. And now, they were in his kitchen. He had to know if they were still valid, or if this was all just some ancient, useless paper. He found the investor relations number for Northbridge Microsystems and dialed with shaking hands. Polite woman answered, Northbridge Investor Relations. How may I help you? He swallowed. Hi, I have some old stock certificates, physical ones, from the 80s. How do I know if they're still valid? She asked, Do you see a CUSIP number printed at the bottom? He read one out. Silence. She typed. I see, she said slowly. These are from the pre-IPO issuance. Do you know if they've already been redeemed or converted? I don't think so, Ethan said. I found them in storage. More typing. Then, according to our records, these certificate numbers were never surrendered. His mouth went dry. So, what does that mean? It means, she said, that if they are authentic, they still represent valid shares of Northbridge Microsystems. He felt lightheaded. Can they be claimed? Yes, you would need to submit them to our transfer agent. Along with identity verification, they will confirm authenticity and reissue them in your name. He stared at the case. So, they're still worth? I can't give you an exact figure, she replied, but if you know the current share price, you can multiply. He already had $8 million, maybe more. Thank you, he whispered. He hung up. His hands were shaking so violently, he had to sit down on the floor. Ethan stared at the certificates, spread out on his table. He thought about all the nights he'd gone home exhausted, all the times he'd worried about rent, all the cheap meals, all the times he'd felt like a nobody, in a job no one respected. And now, $8 million was lying in front of him, but there was something else too. Guilt. The crate wasn't technically his. It belonged to the warehouse, to the company, to whoever had shipped it in 1984. Did someone lose this? Did they forget? Did they die never knowing? He didn't know. All he knew was that his supervisor told him to throw it away, to treat it as garbage. That crate had been abandoned by the system. If he hadn't opened it, it would have been destroyed, and no one would have ever known. He whispered to himself, if the world forgot about this, does that mean it was meant for me? It wasn't a logical thought, but it was a hopeful one. He couldn't just walk into Northbridge HQ with a metal case full of ancient stock and say, "Hi, I'm rich now." He needed help, and he needed to stay safe. What if the warehouse found out? What if the company tried to claim everything? What if someone decided it would be easier to make him disappear? Paranoia crawled into his mind. He noticed how weak his apartment door looked, how thin the walls were, how exposed he really was. He knew he had to do 3 things: get legal help, get security, get everything documented. So he did something he'd never done in his life. He hired a lawyer. Ethan found a small law firm that specialized in corporate assets and cases involving old company stock. The lawyer's name was Michael Reyes, calm, sharp, mid-40s, the kind of man who had seen everything and was never surprised. Ethan sat in his office, the metal case beside him. Michael looked at him seriously. "Tell me everything, the full truth." Ethan hesitated. Then he opened the case. Michael's eyes widened for a split second, the only sign he was impressed, before he returned to his neutral expression. He picked up one certificate, studied the seal, checked the signatures, ran a gloved finger over the embossed edges. Then he put it down carefully. "These are real," he said. "Very real." Ethan swallowed. "And what does that mean?" Michael leaned back in his chair. "It means you're sitting on something most people never touch in their entire life." He continued, "Bearer certificates are rare. They were basically phased out in the 80s because they're impossible to track. Whoever holds them is the legal owner. So, I can claim them?" "Yes," Michael nodded. "But we must do this carefully. Northbridge may try to dispute it, claim they were lost corporate property, or argue improper possession." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "So what do I do?" "Let me handle everything," Michael said. "And Ethan, don't tell anyone. Not a single person." Ethan nodded quickly. He already knew he was in too deep. Chapter 10, The Verification. Over the next 3 days, Michael prepared a formal submission to Northbridge's transfer agent. Not just a simple request, but a full legal claim, evidence of authenticity, certification of possession, chain of custody statement, legal rights under old securities law, liability protections, notarized proofs. Ethan didn't understand half of it, but Michael did. Finally, everything was ready. Michael submitted the claim and told Ethan, "Now we wait." Ethan barely slept. Every noise felt like danger. Every knock on the door felt like someone coming for him. But 3 days later, Michael called. "Ethan," he said, "they accepted the submission." Ethan's heart stopped. Michael continued, "The transfer agent confirmed authenticity and is prepared to reissue all shares. In your name." Ethan almost dropped the phone. "How many shares is that altogether?" Michael exhaled slowly. 52,000 shares of Northbridge Microsystems. Ethan did the math again, hands shaking. Northbridge stock that day was $217.35 per share. 52,000 times 217.35 equals $11,297,000. He sat down on the floor of his apartment, legs unable to hold his weight. $11 million. He whispered, "This can't be real." But it was. A week later, Ethan and Michael met at the transfer agency's office. A representative handed Ethan a folder containing the official documents. Reissued electronic shares. Owner of record Ethan Miles. Then he said, "Congratulations. You are now a major shareholder." Ethan stared at the words. They didn't feel real. Nothing in his old life prepared him for this moment. He signed the final forms, and with every pen stroke, he felt the weight of his old life fade away. After the meeting, Michael placed a hand on his shoulder. "Ethan, you're financially free. Forever. Just promise me something." "What?" "Don't do anything stupid." Ethan actually laughed. The first real laugh in months. "I won't." Within a month, Ethan quit his warehouse job, paid off every debt he ever had, moved to a clean, quiet apartment with windows that actually opened, bought his mother a new car, put most of the money into safe investments under Michael's guidance, kept some shares in Northbridge because Michael said the company was still growing. The funny part? Ethan didn't buy a luxury car. He didn't buy a mansion. No gold chains. No flashy lifestyle. He bought something simple, a used but comfortable car, a better bed, a fridge full of food that didn't come from the discount shelf, and peace. For the first time in his adult life, he had peace. One evening, he drove past the warehouse where he used to work. He saw the forklifts, the workers moving crates, the night shift clocking in. He thought about the old Ethan, tired, ignored, lifting boxes for minimum wage, never imagining the universe had something waiting for him. In a forgotten crate from 1984, he smiled gently and whispered, "Thank you for letting me find it." This story isn't about luck, or destiny, or being chosen. It's about something much more real. Sometimes, life hides opportunity in the places you never look. A dusty warehouse corner, a forgotten crate, a metal case nobody cared about. Thousands of people walked past that crate. For 40 years, no one touched it. No one looked inside. Anyone could have found it. But it was Ethan, the man who needed a break the most, who finally opened it. Sometimes life waits until the right hands lift the right box at the right moment, and you never know when that moment is yours. If you love cinematic true style stories about unexpected wealth, accidental millionaires, and ordinary people whose lives change in one unbelievable moment, subscribe to the channel. Your story might be next.